So, good evening, everybody. Or in fact, I think, is anyone from, I know we're expecting a couple of people from down under who messaged me, so it might be good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome. Um, it's really lovely to see you at the first of our Song in the City live online events. I'm Gavin Roberts, the artistic director of Song in the City Charity Trust. And I'm also joined by some of our fabulous trustees who may make themselves known to you perhaps a little bit later on in the call. So if you haven't already, please switch your camera to speaker view, just for new people coming in, and mute yourselves, your microphones. Any questions you have for me or for any of the performers, could you put them in the chat that's at the very bottom of the Zoom, and I'll have a look at those, or Melly might sort of give me a heads up on what's been asked. And we thought this would be a really lovely way just to keep connected with you and our audience, as well as some of our performers, because it's such a sort of strange time during this pandemic. And as the world is gradually opening up around us, I think there's this feeling that we in the arts are being a little bit left behind. So I've been looking to make creative solutions for the future. So this series is just to find out a little bit about where we are and connect with some of our wonderful artists who've worked with us in the past. So the way these sessions are going to work, before I welcome our artists, I'm going to ask each of our guests to say a little bit about who they are, perhaps what they've been doing pre-lockdown, what they've been doing during life in lockdown, and perhaps a little bit about what life might look like after lockdown. Are there any green shoots, perhaps? Perhaps there are none. And after that, I'm going to show you a little video, just to take those of you who used to come to our Healthy Lunch Breaks lunchtime series down memory lane, and then we'll have a bit of time for chat and question and answer afterwards. So I'm delighted to welcome back some of these amazing singers that took back in our series in those very early years. Song in the City started when I was a postgrad student at the Guildhall School, and I think I counted some 190 something singers took part in our series between 2011 and 2017. And most of whom came from the Guildhall School, but we often had guests from other conservatoires and outside, friends of mine who were always happy to join our crazy project. So tonight we have three sopranos, although Roisin will not mind me mentioning that she wasn't always a soprano. So we have Lucy Hall, Madeleine Holmes and Roisin Walsh, and we have baritone Ben McAteer and tenor Adam Sullivan. So perhaps I could start with Ben.
Typical.
So would you mind just telling us a bit about who you are, pre, during, post lockdown, how you're doing?
Yeah, I don't know who I am during lockdown anymore. Yeah, so I was when was I at the Guildhall? 2010 to 13. I think our postgrad years were pretty much the same, Gavin.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so I was on the opera course there, went off to the opera studio, and I've just been working around the UK and Ireland with all the opera companies, or any that'll have me, since then. Well, up until March, when everything shut down again.
Great. And I've seen you on stage at ENO and other places before the lockdown, and I know you have a particular fondness for a particular kind of operetta.
Oh, Messrs. Gilbert and Sullivan, of course, yes. My pride and joy is all my GNS work. Yeah, I was meant to be doing Gondoliers with Scottish Opera the last 2 months. It was a big tour, and they were going to be in London in a couple of weeks' time. So it's very annoying that that's been cancelled. But fingers crossed. They'd made a set and costumes and things, so it's in their interest to put it on. I hope they do anyway.
Yes. And any other musical activities going on during lockdown?
A lot of recording for in your living room recitals and different things. There's a chamber music group here in Northern Ireland that I do some stuff with. So I've been recording some songs with them, which is tricky. You set a tempo with the accompanist, and then 3 days later when you decide to record it, you went, oh, that's too slow, but there's not much you can do. So yeah, a lot of earphones in and singing to a camera, which I am really fed up with. And the sooner I get back to singing in front of people, the better.
Did I see you were doing was it a Heroes for Northern Ireland online?
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, so Northern Ireland Opera did At Home for Heroes. So sort of classic. I'll not say classical stars of Northern Ireland, because I am not, but people in the classical music world in Northern Ireland. So James and Jeannie Galway were playing the flute, Barry Douglas on piano, and there were 4 or 5 singers to do with Northern Ireland Opera. They were sort of coordinating it, so we did that. And it got a retweet from Clarence House from Prince Charles. So yeah, my little lockdown claim to fame.
I didn't know Clarence House did tweeting. There we are.
Oh yeah, nothing else to do.
Thank you. So anything in the pipeline post-lockdown or?
I think I have one contract that hasn't been cancelled, but give it a few weeks.
Thank you. Lucy, do you mind, can we come to you next?
Yeah, fine. So yeah, I'm Lucy. I was actually very fortunate to sing for Gavin's audition to the Guildhall. So our relationship was formed then, really, and has gone on ever since, and has made us firm friends as well. In fact, you've helped me move house a couple of times, and many other things.
Carrying sofas, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Still owe you for that. Yeah, so I've been sort of busy since we left Guildhall. Obviously enjoyed performing in Song of the City and in many other recitals with Gavin, actually, which we haven't done for a while. We should do that when we can. I was quite busy, and then obviously this happened, and now everything is cancelled for the rest of my life. So there we go.
And including, I think you were recently you're about to do a run last weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, so, well, unfortunately, my mum has been diagnosed with dementia recently. So I was trying to do this jog on dementia run, which is meant to be basically running a marathon over a month. But we thought, oh, that's sort of not that challenging, because we run anyway a little bit. Not very much, but so we tried to do it in 24 hours, but unfortunately my partner Will screwed his ankle on the curb, so we've had to postpone that. But that's what's been keeping me busy, really, sort of trying to train for that and trying to not get completely fat after eating all the food and wine.
Oh. Well, I hope you get to do that again, and you must send us around the link to sponsor you.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do it, because we've raised quite a bit of money now, so
Good.
Can't let everyone down.
Now, I know that singers are, of course, famous for early morning runs and exercise, and it brings me to Roisin in particular.
Right.
Who I know that is a very keen runner, and used to be seen around Guildhall on an early morning with Ben in tow.
Oh yes, in our spandex.
Hilarious. More like doing the river dance in movement classes. That was definitely fun.
So Roisin, do you want to tell us a bit about what you've been doing? Because I see you quite often, don't I? So I'm a bit more...
Yeah, sure. Similar to Ben, I started off at Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I did a postgrad and then upper course. I went on to the studio after that. So I've been working away up until March, I suppose. I was up in Glasgow actually when we were sent home after 2 days of rehearsals. We were doing Midsummer Night's Dream, so that was we were pretty gutted after learning all the music and everything. But so I had trained as a nurse before I moved to Guildhall, And so I was back in the white uniform before I knew it. So I've been back nursing during the COVID. So yeah, it's a bit of a change of direction, but it's good to be kept busy.
I know I see Roisin quite often for coaching sessions and things like that, and I know you've kept your sort of learning up to speed. You're doing I think you're learning a sort of new song cycle now, aren't you? Because I've been recording parts for her to learn all her notes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, a friend of mine is a composer, and she's written a song cycle based on the works of Kate O'Brien. So that's in the pipeline probably for next year. And yeah, so keeping busy with all of that.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know. And all that work, we worked quite hard on your Helena, the Midsummer Dream, and then suddenly it was all cancelled. So.
I know. But anyway, hopefully it'll come up again some other time.
Yes, it definitely will. It definitely will. Let's come to Maddie next. We'd love to just hear from Maddie, who I also speak to regularly. And
we do, don't we? Yeah. In fact, it's so lovely seeing you there with that beautiful, beautiful picture of Alice's behind you, and makes me miss you especially.
In fact, Alice is here somewhere.
Is she?
Alice,
Hi, Alice.
I might want to just say hello because she's sitting in front of her beautiful painting as well, which is a sister painting. Alice, are you there?
I'm unmuted. Hello. Hello.
Oh, yes, sister painting.
There's the sister painting. That's for another.
Yeah. Where's the other one?
There we go. That's for another Zoom. We'll talk about the paintings in another Zoom. Great. So Maddie, thank you.
Art and music. I don't know where to begin. Well, I don't do any running because my knees gave up a long time ago, but I've been doing a lot of yoga during lockdown, daily yoga, sometimes twice daily. I'm getting a little bit obsessed now, so and quite a lot of Feldenkrais. Just lots of things that just can keep, the mental health on an even-ish keel while during this really, really bizarre time. I didn't have an awful lot that was actually cancelled this year because I didn't have an awful lot in my diary. My mum's been really poorly in the same way that Lucy's mum has been, sadly. So this last year's been a bit chaotic, and then this happened. So it's all been a bit strange. But I've been spending a lot of time working through some song repertoire, which took me right back to Song in the City days. And indeed, Gavin and I had a lovely recital for the Red House in Aldborough, didn't we, in April?
It was supposed to be.
Which just didn't happen. But it's going to happen. I think we've got a date in December. So
yes, I mean, some places haven't just cancelled. They've sort of postponed and asked us to put dates in. So
yeah,
across that we'll, even if we're socially distanced by then.
Yeah,
absolutely. A lovely recital of Britain and Poulenc, which some of you might remember. We did a kind of a series on them at some point. I seem to remember. We did a series on everything. Anyway, more about
that. Pretty much. I know some of those lovely programs you sent. I was like, oh yes, I sang that too. I don't know if that's getting old or if it means that I've been really busy, or maybe a mixture of both. I don't know if that's a familiar feeling for everybody else. But yeah.
Well, certainly I was counting the number of singers that took part in Song in the City, but then I lost count of the number of songs we actually did. I think there was I think it must be over 1,000 or something. Thank you. And last but not least, the wonderful moustached Adam.
Hello. So, what do you want to know, really?
Everything.
Great. Well, I'll start from the beginning. I was an undergraduate, I think, when the first time I worked with you, Gav, and I think we did a few platforms at Guildhall. I know, terrifying, which was a weekly opportunity at the Guildhall to air some repertoire that you were perhaps working on, putting it in front of an audience for the first time. So that's when I first met Gavin. I was at Guildhall for what seems like forever. And I left for a year and I went to work, and then I went back and I did a fellowship year, which was fantastic because you get to use all of the facilities and have access to coaches and your singing teacher in return for a service back to the school, whatever that may be. And I did a few things. I sat in and just did some exam invigilation, which was very easy, and I even did some language coaching for foreign singers. So that was great. Anyway, but and I seem to remember Gavin once telling me I perhaps performed in more Song in the Cities than anyone else, but it was between me and Jen Whitten, I think.
It would be.
I think, I mean, one of the reasons that these wonderful people are here tonight is because they were always so wonderful at, whenever I said, please would you come and perform in Song in the City, you know, doing this concert, and they were always so willing and game, sometimes bribed with alcohol or food or things like that, but always so wonderful. And funny, Adam mentions platform at the Guildhall, and I think I could probably say this because I know there are some Guildhall people here, but that was, platform at the Guildhall was a very formal experience where you also just put frocks on and very smart. And then Song in the City was a chance not to do that. It was, those who used to come to our performances know that we didn't do that.
It's certainly become more relaxed as well, as you learned the formats that you wanted to present with us as the singers and other pianists, as you started inviting other pianists to take part and produce concerts. It became much more fluid and much more about breaking down that wall between the performers and the audience, and that was always fantastic. So since Guildhall, I've after my year being a fellow, I got a job in the full-time chorus at the English National Opera. And so for 3 and almost 4 years, I've been in the chorus, which I absolutely love. It's a great job, and I get to sing every day until March this year, when I think we spent 6.5, 7 weeks rehearsing for a new production of The Marriage of Figaro. And it was a long and painful process. We had a director who was brilliant, but such a stickler for detail. And it was a really slow and painstaking, for the good, process. And yeah, we got to the dress rehearsal. We did the first night on the Saturday, and on the Monday, they closed the Coliseum. So that was it. All of that work for one performance. So that was a shame.
And is there any news on when it might reopen that you can share with us yet? Or
so, I mean, there's various things in the pipeline, but what I can share with you is that we're planning in September. We're doing open air performances of La Bohème, which is a drive and live sort of thing. It's basically going to try and be like the American drive-in cinemas. So you drive in your car, you sit in or around your car, and you watch the opera. More than that, I don't know. I'm sure the powers that be have better ideas, but the advice is changing all the time, as I'm sure you all know. And quite how we're going to manage it, we're not sure, but we're doing it. So I think the tickets go on sale this month, so it's happening.
And during lockdown, you've been pretty busy with your hands full at home, I gather.
Yes. So my wife and I had a little boy in September of last year, and so he's 9 months, and he's started throughout the course of lockdown. We've weaned him onto solid food. We've moved him from our room into his own room, into his own cot. So he's now sleeping through the night. So actually, lockdown has marked all of these big stages in his development. So that's really been nice. And what's been amazing about it, which we wouldn't have had ordinarily, is that my wife and I have been both off together to do it all together. And that's been brilliant, because I don't know many mums and dads who have that that opportunity to experience all of that together. That's been a joy, actually, a real joy, and I feel the future obviously is looking, well, who knows at the moment. You know, I'm quite positive, and I think, you know, we will get there. but you have to take some positives out of this situation, and all of mine have been him.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's lovely to hear this real smorgasbord of experience from pre and during lockdown. I'm now going to take you a little bit down memory lane. So I'm going to try the technical bit of sharing my screen. Before I do that, I want to say hello. I've seen a few more people who are also wonderful Song in the City. I don't want to call you veterans because it makes you sound old, but I see Donna's there. Lovely to see you, Donna, who I know also did lots of Song in the Cities. And Catherine Norton, welcome you from...
the Norton.
Who must be about 6 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand. You. And I saw somebody else, but they've disappeared.
How are you seeing other people? I've had the same faces on screen the whole time.
I see. I've changed to the grid thing, but you're not allowed to do that.
No.
Anyway, I'm going to share my screen now, and this is about 5 minutes just to take you down memory lane.
La mer aussi
So thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, where did they all go?
I know. Before we ask the audience for any questions, I'm just going to ask for quick reactions from each of the performers. Roisin, how was that? I should, by the way, say that. Oh, sorry, my knee's playing my piano. I should therefore say I did show that video to everybody before I shared it with you all to ask, do you mind your voices of yesteryear, which still sound blimmin' amazing, frankly, being shared, and also embarrassing pictures in places, pictures of all our work. Roisin, how was that to go down? Perhaps you could just tell us a bit about what it's like to go down memory lane with Song in the City, or what Song in the City meant to you.
Oh, it's amazing. It just shows me the fantastic opportunities he used to give us all. For me, it was a great opportunity to sing outside of Guildhall, as well as the performance experience we got at college. And of course, I met you, Gavin, at the start of it all, you know, probably platform or playing for my recitals. And I've known you ever since, and you've come to Ireland to play for recitals. So it was it started off a great collaboration between the two of us, which I cherish.
Oh, the feeling is very mutual. So thank you for all you did, all of you, over those years. Maddie.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Roisin, well, everyone said it, haven't they? That I feel really, really lucky to have met you. I remember really well that somebody recommended you as a pianist when somebody dropped out of a recital. And it was a very low-key gig. And I went, Gavin Roberts, he's an organist. And it was really when you were just starting at the Guildhall. And I couldn't believe how beautifully you played then. But seeing you grow as an artist, and as Adam said, you know, in your curation of all of that stuff, just really helped me find a place for my deep love of song. And really artistically, it was such an important thing for me, you know, being able to come in to Song in the City, work with all of these amazing, delightful people, and feel part of that community, but also really get that relationship with you and start questioning the text and questioning the music and getting curious and always staying curious and finding the performance that is that day, you know, all of that. And it's just been so important to me. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I should add, Maddie, that you're, of course, trained at university as a linguist as well. So super multi-talented. And so Maddie actually designed a whole bumper concert, which I know Philly, who's here somewhere, I think, also took part in. Viva Italia, we did a wonderful sort of sunny, it was a very sunny day anyway, I seem to remember.
Yes.
And lots of Feast of Italian song, which Maddie actually devised all herself.
Yeah, and which went on far too long, yeah.
Oh, no one minded.
I remember.
Perhaps I come to Ben, who I know, Ben I know won't embarrass me by telling me how wonderful I am.
Not a chance, no. No, you are wonderful, but you don't need to be told that too often. No, do you know what? I've been locked up too long, because when you sent that through the other day, I had to hold back a tear watching it. It just reminded me of headier and slimmer days. It was wonderful when my face was but a triangle rather than whatever this is. But no, I mean, look, Song in the City was great. For me, it was just opening my eyes to repertoire that I just wouldn't have touched. I'm not an adventurous recital planner. Both you and Catherine Norton can attest to that. It's like, what about that thing I did 5 times last year? Let's just do that again. So it was great just to get, you know, pieces thrown at me, and we're going to do this, and you know, to try them out, and you know, to develop those relationships with you and with Catherine, you know. And from Song in the City, what I loved was just how it grew over the years I was with it, and I know it went on to, but I mean, by the time I was leaving Guildhall, you were commissioning new works. I remember doing a cycle of modern songs that had been written for you, and you know, you were recording things, you were doing big evening concerts as well as the lunchtime stuff, and that was great. But I think most important was just the relationship that I was able to build up with people like you and Catherine, and you played for me at competitions and recitals for years and years. Still do if we ever get the chance again.
Thank you. I think that's true. Also, I think it was a chance, like a playpen, for us to all, sort of challenge the boundaries of, recitals and what we thought they were supposed to be. And I can see somebody there, Dinah Stab, sorry to put you on the spot, who was just wonderful at collaborating with us regularly, particularly with our Shakespeare series, and got everybody away from the piano in particular.
Yeah, but that's it. I think that's what we were talking about platforms earlier, and the fact that you were outside of Guildhall was so important, because I was just so used to standing in the LRR or the music hall in a ill-fitting jacket, pretending to remember the words to stuff, and then getting peer reviewed
yeah,
from other students and things, and it was a horrendous experience. It would put you off doing recitals, and so to be able to get out on a Thursday lunchtime. And, there's just people, although it was only around the corner, it was outside, there were members of the public. It just felt different, and that you were always adventurous in, not just standing in front of the piano and holding the lid.
Actually, on that note, Lucy might want to say something about, I don't know, because Lucy and I did a lot of recitals together over the years, and I don't know what it was like for you, having the experience of having done, well, of course, you're all wonderful stage animals anyway on opera stages, but having at those early stages of having different experiences of recitals.
Well, similar to what Ben said, really, I sort of found that the experience of Song in the City took us outside of Guildhall, which was a completely different and slightly false atmosphere of performing, where things could get a bit rigid and were not completely natural, and then you've got a real audience and you're in the moment where you can respond to each other in a sort of fresh way where anything can happen. It's not exactly how you've rehearsed it, and it's not not the same as being in a coaching or a practice room where you're discussing things and being very sort of textbook about things. You just can play and experience things completely differently, and I think that sort of translates to the operatic stage really well. And obviously we're completely mentally rehearsed sometimes, far too much, and sometimes not at all. But it gives you that freedom to sort of try things out and work with as Maddie said, work with the text in a way that I'm sure many opera singers do now, but many don't as well. You still get those singers that stand there and just deliver, and I think it's been a really good foundation for trying things out and discovering who you are as a performer, and working with really amazing pianists that offer you something different every time you work with them. So, and other singers as well, obviously, which you can all learn from each other. But I think that's really helped with opera, I think, personally.
I think that's that thing of being able to embody something in the recital room like you would on an opera stage really helps you engage with what you're saying, the text, in a really sort of specific way, in a way that perhaps if you were just standing next to the piano trying to remember your words, even though that's what you thought you were focusing on, you wouldn't necessarily be that good at delivering words. Yeah. And
of course, Song in the City was actually quite a safe environment as well, even though it was, proper performing that's not the same as inside Guildhall performing. It was still around lots of friends and the public that had an interest in song and that wanted us to do well. So I think it's quite a supportive atmosphere to try things out in, and feels quite nice and safe. So that's good.
Yeah, thank you. I know we haven't heard from Adam. I don't know if you want to add anything, or how is it to keep yourself back? I'm sorry about the song "Oh That I'd Ne'er Been Married" that played just as you first came on screen.
Do you know? I wish I'd managed to get some decent Scots language coaching, because I had no idea really what I was doing with that. So thanks for choosing that recording. I hope I've not offended anyone. But the sheer range. I mean, I don't know how many pieces I must have learned for Song in the City with you, and also and other recitals outside. I know you Gavin played for all of my my Guildhall exams, well, the latter ones at least. In fact, I got special dispensation in my fellowship year my master's year, sorry, my master's recital, to extend the time so that I could fit in all of Britain's canticles.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever been so emotionally exhausted after a recital than that. That was, yeah, terrifying, but fantastic. So yeah, and likewise, we've worked together since school, and it's always a joy. It absolutely is. You're still my go-to guy, but now obviously I think I have so much less time now working at E&O. It kind of fills your diary. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I did sit and reminisce about, which was changing in that freezing cold church kitchen.
Yes.
Which
I
was
was thinking that as well.
Weight Watchers next door. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see your breath as you're singing.
Absolutely.
And
always annoying the Weight Watchers downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never went in though. Never went in.
At St Botolph's Hall, we used to have the Weight Watchers meeting underneath, and there was a terrible time. You probably saw the programme that said "Food, Glorious Food." We were rehearsing the final number, which was "Food, Glorious Food," and these poor people came in looking for Weight Watchers, and we were singing "Of It and Mustard."
The best crowd we ever had.
Like, it's down.
Sirens to the hall. That was.
Oh, hello, Catherine. I've got some questions now. So thank you very much, all of you wonderful performers, for what you've given us this evening and over the years. I've got a question from Catherine. Gavin, how did you keep up the energy to put on 100 and something concerts? I've done 9 here in New Zealand and it's exhausting. Well, Catherine, of course, I think also devised quite a few Song in the City concerts. I found your wonderful series all about the sea. And I think you even had to be decamped to the church for some of it because there was something going on in the hall and they moved the piano over. So I remember those concerts. And you did sorry about that picture as well that appeared of you just as Ben was singing "Have Some Madeira, Madeira" with an ache in her head. So that wasn't aimed at you. So lucky to see you. I don't know how I found the energy. I think I don't know if anybody else feels this about lockdown now. I sort of look at my diary and things that used to be in it and think, how did I have the energy all the time or the inclination to do all those things? And now I'm just sitting at home, going between my piano and my laptop, still doing lots of interesting things. But I think, gosh, how do we have the time to run around like headless chickens? Maybe when we go back, we will. On that note, we were planning this year to start a new sort of series on sort of socially, politically engaging themes. But obviously we can't at the moment. So do watch this space for future plans for Song in the City. So yeah, do I have any other questions? Perhaps for some of our performers. You're welcome to unmute yourselves if you... Oh, Philly. Hello, Philly. What were the very first and very last songs performed in the series? Oh, gosh. Do you know, I don't know. I might have to get back to you on that. I know the very first concert was... and of course, we haven't finished. But our work is not yet done. I know that the first concerts we did were more of a sort of formal type, although we did still have a cast of 5 or 6 singers. And I know that we did the Brahms Liebesliederwalzer, the Brahms love song waltzes, as a kind of appetizer for each of those concerts, and had the singers not quite dancing, but we were quite sort of, we were just testing the water back in those days. But so the first series was on the universal theme of love, and of course it then got more and more adventurous as we went on, and we did everything from love to Shakespeare to an LGBT history month, to a concert about refugees, everybody else, lots of engagement with different poets, often trying to focus on different anniversaries that were happening nationally. So the idea was, of course, Song in the City, trying to actually be song in the real world, tried to connect with the real world, and each new theme we did gave us a chance to invite new people in. At the last one, I can't remember. You know what? Our lunchtime series came to a bit of a funny end because we lost our piano, but more of that later. What was Dinah? What was the worst thing that happened in a concert? Can anyone? Perhaps one of our performers would like to answer that one. Anyone got any? What was the worst thing? Adam?
I don't know if it was Song in the City, but I definitely remember with Gavin at I think it was a Song in the City. I remember forgetting my words and having to stop. Yeah, which was, I mean, it's a singer's worst nightmare, but a testament to the wonderful Song in the City audience. I think it was a round of applause, a few dry words from me, and we started again and we got through it. But that was pretty scary. Yeah.
And Gavin's always got your back.
Yes, shouting the words over the piano lid through gritted teeth. Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Adam, were you about to say something? Something you remember?
No. They all went swimmingly, as far as I remember.
Exactly.
I do remember, because I used some of the lunchtime recitals I took part in. I'd come in and we'd do something that we'd done somewhere else, or we'd bring back a song or something. So I'd come in and do a couple. And I do remember sitting there. I'd sing a hell of a lot of 20th century music with you, and new music, and stuff that really just had little or no tonality at all at times. And I always remember sitting there thinking, why has he asked me to do this? I'm a terrible musician. And I'd sit there listening to all these glorious songs that my lovely colleagues were all singing and you playing, and having that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's what always went wrong in the recitals.
There was also that lovely feeling that there couldn't really be a wrong. You know, I think one of the wonderful things I found about especially doing Song in the City was that, and I think it was particularly I found in the training we got at Guildhall especially, was just kind of there could be no wrong, and you find a way and you support your colleagues, and because the concerts often had several people in, there was a kind of nice collegiate feel about it. Yeah. Yes, we got some more. Michael, hello, thank you. What have our performers done in lockdown that they will continue to do afterwards? That's that question of what will you? How would life?
Drink wine,
drink lots of gin.
Yeah.
Gin.
Actually, I've been doing a lot of songs during lockdown because I think it's been an emotional thing to go to song. There's been something really comforting about just me and a piano and words, and sort of going back to, not back to basics, that's but you know what I mean, just going back to something like it's just me and a piano. That's all there is right now. Everyone's on pause, and then I suddenly started writing a list. So Gavin, we're doing the 4 last songs. It's happening. I've outed you on Zoom, so it has to happen.
Brilliant. Good. Oh, wonderful. I'm actually learning them right now because I've actually got 2 concerts in Germany in August. So I'm hoping that my flights were cancelled the other day, but they've rebooked them. And one of the sopranos is singing the 4 last songs with piano, so I'm learning them now. So they're under my fingers. And that, yes.
Right, well, bump her off, and then Maddie will come and sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Thanks. Cheers, Ben.
And anybody, Maddie, I know, talking about your stay with you, your wonderful partner Ben, who is a lawyer, isn't he, by trade?
Yeah, he's in the hut right now.
Embarrassing. But he's also you and he have been performing together a bit at home, haven't you? I know he's played.
Yeah, that's right. We did. It was a really it was a lovely thing for us to be able to do together, actually. And it started by I think we were watching a colleague of ours doing a grade. Rachel Nichols. She's been doing these sort of graded ABRSM things online. And as a joke, we got out Little Spanish Town on a Friday afternoon and sort of downloaded it, and then we thought, we could kind of maybe just sight read some stuff. It was very early on in lockdown, and we just decided to record All the Time in the World for our friends. And then we just decided to kind of get together every Friday afternoon and sight read through something, and it became just a really lovely thing to be able to share. And it went on for 10 weeks, and fun, musical fun.
I think that's something as well that we felt when we did Song in the City was that if you think back, I mean, this is to be a boring historian, but you think about a lot of songs were first written for domestic settings. That kind of, here you are, I'm at home to share with you some songs, some words I've written that I've set to music. Here they are, and the Song in the City environment gave us that sort of chance to sort of just invite people in. The room that we often performed in was informal, a bit like a very grand front room. That's not bottle wall. But yes, it was that lovely sort of domestic, intimate feeling we used to get. Yeah, thank you. Do we have any other questions? I can't see any more in the chat. Brilliant. Well, before we finish, I have to remember just to say, if you've enjoyed tonight, please do join us in 2 weeks' time. We're going to be talking about Voices of London, which is our first commission, and we've got some wonderful composers coming who wrote us some songs, and some of the performers that did our first recording. Then 2 weeks after that, on the 29th of July, we're going to be talking about our Creative Madness in Song project, where we created new songs from the poetry of mental health service users. So please join us for that. I know Melly is one of our trustees, is going to be putting into the chat 2 links. There's the booking link for those 2 events, if you can come. And also, if you are able to support Song in the City in any way financially, there's going to be a donate link to support our work. But no obligation. Tonight is just lovely to see some familiar faces and reconnect with some audience we haven't seen for a while. Which leaves me just to say huge thanks to our wonderful performers. Thank you.